Hello, everyone. Welcome back to St. Louis Teens, and welcome back to the COVID-19 Innovators series, which features individuals and organizations working to find new and innovative solutions to help fight this pandemic. Today, we have Lucas Chu, who is a freshman at Harvard and the founder of the Coronavirus Visualization Team, which produces visualizations and data sets on the COVID-19 pandemic. So first off, Lucas, I'd like to say that this is amazing, and we want to thank you for providing meaningful data and visualization for people, organizations, and governments to understand and work on solutions for this pandemic. Thank you so much for this phenomenal work.
Yeah, no problem. I don't think it's amazing yet because we need to really get it out there, get the public to see it. But I appreciate your thankfulness.
Lucas, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to dwell deeper into data science?
Sure. So I was actually born in Düsseldorf, Germany, and then moved over to the US when I was 5. I went to first a German school, then a public school, then a Catholic school. And interestingly, like at my Catholic school, there wasn't any like computer science courses. And I've always, since as a child, I've always wanted to become a computer scientist, which sort of changed over college. But the one thing I really enjoyed was my AP statistics class because there I learned that statistics can be used to really objectify a very subjective world. So it's a good way to find out like exactly how uncertain things are. So I find a lot of comfort in knowing that we can use these tools, these scientific inquiries, to figure out more about what is often a very changing and very varied world, and help inform our own decisions from a very quantitative way.
And we would love to know the story of sort of what led you to put together the coronavirus visualization team specifically, and what exactly did it involve?
Yeah, it's in terms of like startup stories, it's very innocuous. A friend, it wasn't even actually a friend, just someone in the MIT group chat that I was in asked for help with some statistical tools that I didn't know how to use for her data set, but I knew I wanted to do something. So I volunteered to help just over GroupMe. She sent me her data set. And I learned Tableau in trying to visualize it. It took me 30 minutes, but I had a whole bunch of ideas based off it. Sent them to my friends. They liked it. We created a Discord server, and then we just kept on growing with ideas and members to where we are now today.
So what is your goal with the various projects the coronavirus visualization team sort of takes part in, and the overall goal behind the coronavirus visualization team?
Yeah, so in terms of thinking about the pandemic and the epidemic, the endemic, and eradication phases, there's not much students can really do in terms of curing the disease, the pandemic themselves. But I think students have almost a responsibility as learners, and then also in a way educators, of fighting the infodemic, of seeing all of this misinformation online and realizing they have the tools available that they learned in class, that they learned through the professors, to really create better visualizations than the ones that are currently being produced by some news media. And of course, trying to quantify all of these niche subjects because there's just so much information being created right now. Similar to if you go think back in like US history class about how the WPA was created during the Great Depression. So really having students as a way to, one, learn, of course, data science, but also really contribute to the oral history of this, very momentous and, in a sense, legendary time.
And what kind of impact do you see from the project so far? And, what is your best or favorite project? It may be hard to pick, but or maybe what are a couple of the most interesting ones to you personally?
Mhm. Yeah, so in terms of impact, it's mostly been student-based since we're still in our phase 2 of our outreach. So I think it revolves mostly around community and really the creation of these projects. So getting students to know each other. So these are like 315 people that I have never met before that are now coming together, working on projects daily, really spending so much time on it. It's really incredible. And then, creating something out of nothing in the sense that now we have this visualization team. We have all of these educators from all walks of life, from across 15 different time zones, working together to figure out this information that previously by themselves might have seemed very daunting. I think it's very beautiful to see how inspiring people are, how much they're willing to dedicate in creating this content. So It's really been a student impact that has really, the sort of impact that I've seen the most is from students. And then now I'm looking forward, once we're publishing, to really have an impact on the general public. And in terms of my favorite project, I think one of them would be our partnership with Harvard's Center for Geographic Analysis, because there's tons of sub-projects within that. And we got to use a lot of high-powered statistical tools and find some interesting things in the data that would only pop up on the news, much, much later. And then, now we're thinking we should have gotten it out earlier. We should have worked. So in a sense, this is very inspiring.
So I know you talked a little bit about the sort of the vastness that the coronavirus visualization team now has in terms of, the people who are working on it, and a continuation on that. How many projects do you have so far, and are you planning to add more?
Yep. So for reference, we were founded around April 5th. It's pretty informal since it's not like we're first to sponsor. We're not our own nonprofit. And we have around 600 in the community and 20 projects. And we're looking to add on as we get more interest. So if you're watching this, feel free to check out our outline to propose something of yourself. And that's really on a case-by-case basis, because we really like to see when people take up the initiative, and by people I mean students, and just come up with their own ideas and go with it. Like, we aren't meant to be a bureaucracy. We're just meant to foster these sort of projects and provide almost an ecosystem for them to thrive.
So, talking about how many different people there are, I know there's quite a bit of students who are working on it. I think you said around 600. So, how easy or hard is it to work with other students on this kind of project?
So luckily, I've worked in a couple nonprofits before in volunteering, and I found very often there's this huge decentralization problem where there's a lot of communication issues, especially on Slack, where it can feel like you're shouting into the void, or you have all these members that aren't really active. And of course, we anticipated some of that. And I think the way we're adapting to that is, constantly cycling people through and identifying the ones that really have passion that we can support with everyone else. And we also created this coronavirus visualization community to just serve as a space, not for people to commit to, but really just talk about whatever relating to visualization. So this is sort of our project to allow for more casual involvement with the CVT.
I think that it's incredible of all the work that you're able to do with the coronavirus visualization team and the sort of number of people you have been able to involve in this movement. I did want to ask, what else do you sort of do for fun as a hobby or in your free time?
Yeah, I just picked up Goodminton, which I don't think is like a real thing. It's just like a plastic paddle and also like a regular shuttlecock, except it's rubber. And as soon as we started, we launched it into the neighbors. So we weren't that great, but it's actually turned out to be a lot of fun. My brother and my mother play it a lot, pretty much every day now. I like sometimes binge watching some TV shows. I just basically finished Community, and I got an Oculus Quest from the university, so I've been playing Beat Saber fairly often. It's just so much fun.
And finally, what is your advice for other teens and other innovators during this time?
I think it's really just to ask for help, because when people try to start things, they are very often limited by the work they're willing to put in, and almost like their own arrogance, in the sense that you have to be a little bit arrogant to contact someone who's a hotshot, someone who's an expert, and ask to work with them, ask to help them. And if you do that, you'll find that generally people love to help, love to mentor students, and they like seeing that enthusiasm. So we'll go a lot further if you, of course, involve those already in the field. And then another thing that we're trying to work on is just publish as soon as possible, get your work out there, and then iterate on that, see if you can make it better. But at the same time, of course, really putting your soul and a lot of your time into it to make it the best as possible as soon as possible.
Lucas, thank you so much for your phenomenal work in helping fighting this pandemic, sharing your work with us, along with answering all of our questions today and giving some of your time.
No, thank you. Good luck.